there. How are you doing?
I'm good. How are you doing?
I'm good.
Good.
How are you guys doing? Welcome back.
Yay!
So this week, I don't know about you, but I'm just a wee bit nervous.
Why?
Oh, because we're going to be talking about our comfort zone.
Yeah.
More particularly about going outside of our comfort zone.
That can be really scary.
Yes.
It's very scary to go out of your comfort zone.
Well, that's the whole point, right?
Yeah.
Is that, where we're comfortable, we're safe.
Mm-hmm.
We know what's to be expected.
Mm-hmm.
So, Elaine, you've talked a little bit about that time when the very first time that you went out into public with your burn exposed.
Yes.
So tell me about, how did you feel before that when you made the choice to cover up?
Mm-hmm.
Tell me a little bit about that and how that made you feel.
I felt safer.
Okay.
I felt like there wasn't the opportunity. I wasn't giving people an opportunity to make a comment or to notice it. I wanted to keep it hidden and stay safe in my little bubble.
Yeah.
Like I was embarrassed of it or ashamed of it or something. So I didn't want people to see it. I didn't want them to know I was different.
Okay.
Yeah. And
Okay.
so
What was it particularly that you were afraid of that they would do?
and it's interesting because I thought about that and I thought, well, am I afraid of people asking questions? No, I'm not afraid of telling my story, but I didn't want them looking at me going, what is that? What is wrong
when
with
they
you?
don't ask questions?
Yeah, and they just kind of stare
and
and they don't ask a question because I'm fine with questions.
Yeah.
Like, oh, what happened? And I'll tell them the story about how I got burned. But it was the down up.
Uh-huh.
Oh yeah, I was afraid of the down up.
I think all of us women are afraid of the down up.
The down up. It's like your eyes go somewhere else and you know that they just had a thought.
It's uncomfortable to be looked at like you're under a magnifying glass.
Yeah, it's really scary.
Yeah.
It's really scary.
Mm-hmm.
So,
because then, especially when people don't speak up, they don't ask you questions, it's up to you to fill in the blank of what you think that down up means.
yeah.
And then all your gremlins come into play.
Yeah. The insecurities of, oh my gosh, do they think I'm fat? Do they think I'm not cute in this outfit? Or whatever it is that we then try to fill in their blanks with our own thoughts.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So how about when you finally did step out and you just let it show? How did that make you feel?
It was very freeing. It was
it scary at first?
Yeah, it was.
Did your heart start beating a little heavier as you were?
Yeah. But once I just did it, then it just kind of like, well, this is what I'm doing today. And
it's interesting. I felt that myself at times. And when you push back against your comfort zone, that anxiety that you have, that fear that's been holding you back, when you choose to push against it, it's interesting because suddenly it becomes adrenaline.
Mm-hmm.
And it becomes this source of courage.
Mm-hmm.
Once you get just past that barrier, it's still terrifying and scary as hell. But you also get this kind of like risk taker, adrenaline rush kind of thing going on.
Mm-hmm. I notice it a lot when women come to see me for their photo shoot. This is outside of their comfort zone. Mm-hmm. And they're using this experience as a way to do something new, try something new, and see themselves in a different way, which is outside of their comfort zone. And it's really scary for a lot of people. It's scary, it's nervous, it's anxiety, but then it becomes empowering and confidence building and all of those things. So it's like that threshold of, oh my gosh, I'm really scared. But then you're in the middle of it and you're like, oh my gosh, this is amazing.
Yeah.
So I'm
alive.
A lot of emotions in one day to experience, going from terrified or scared or nervous to, wow, I'm walking on a cloud because I feel so amazing and I feel so glad that I did it. And it's a really
it gives you the chance to feel alive, really alive.
Yeah.
Like you're actually getting to show who you are on the outside.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
It's interesting. We live we live in this society that's designed to be comfortable. And, technology is constantly improving to make our lives easier. Even down to the food we eat. It's like all processed and packaged and tidied up and marketed so that it's exactly what you need to make your day fast and easy and simple. We're not used to having to step outside our comfort zone very often.
Yeah.
And our comfort zone is designed to keep us safe. So no surprises. As long as I stay right here, I can just keep going status quo. This life is working just fine the way it is. But then you have to stop and ask yourself, is it? Is it really working just fine the way it is? How are you feeling about those little choices that you're making to hold back and stay within your comfort zone? I was thinking about this topic over the last couple of days, thinking about, okay, when was the time that I felt like I stepped the most out of my comfort zone, or when did I choose not to and regret it? And I'm a little embarrassed to admit this, just because the teenager I eventually became is very not what this is. But when I was a teenager, I wanted to be a cheerleader really badly. And I wouldn't tell any of my friends that, because I hung out with all of the skater punk kids, and like that would have been mocked so much. I actually did try out for the cheer squad in junior high with a friend of mine, and it was scary and it was nerve-wracking, and I'm terribly uncoordinated. And basically during that tryout in junior high, I stumbled all over myself and we didn't make the squad. So when high school came around, I considered, like, maybe I should try again. Maybe I should try out for this. But the little gremlins inside my head said, no, you're terribly uncoordinated. You didn't make it last time. And plus, your thighs are huge and their skirts barely cover anything. And I kept feeding all of these thoughts into my reasoning for why I shouldn't do it. And also, all your friends will make fun of you. None of your friends will like you anymore because you'll be a cheerleader. You won't fit in with your crowd anymore. And so I didn't. And, I don't have enormous regrets about not ever being a cheerleader, but I do have regrets about feeling like I never took that chance. And so that's a big question I like to ask myself now is, how, if I don't do this, if I don't challenge myself, how am I going to feel about it next year, in 5 years, in 10 years? Later on down the road, when I reflect back on life, what am I going to think about this? Am I going to be grateful that I took the leap? Or am I going to be glad that I decided to just stay status quo and live in my comfort zone?
So if you had the opportunity to try out for a cheer squad today, would you try out?
I don't think that cheerleading is my thing now. Although dancing in front of people, it used to be that in order to get up and dance in front of people, I needed to have at least 1 or 2 drinks in me so that I might liquid courage. So that's something I push myself to do now, is just get up, move around, be crazy, and let your spirit out. And that's really what it was about. It wasn't so much about being a cheerleader. It was about just letting that exuberance and that fire just show on the outside. Is there a time that you can recall when you chose to stay within your comfort zone?
All the time.
Yeah.
Oh, all the time. When I was growing up and stuff, or in school or whatever, I just, when I was up until 5th grade, I was pretty involved in baseball and doing activities and stuff. And then as I got older, I kind of withdrew from all of that, and I didn't try out for baseball anymore. I didn't do any after-school activities that were sports-related because I'm clumsy. And I fell playing baseball in our front yard and hurt my knee, and so I used that as an excuse to not do anything further. Well, I can't because my knee. And so that became my reason for not doing it, even though I really wanted to. I really wanted to be on the drill team. I really wanted to be like in that sort of, that little sisterhood that you see in the schools. And so I wanted to be a part of it. And I chose not to because I was afraid I was going to hurt myself or be in the spotlight or look stupid or whatever. I didn't have the courage, just like you. I didn't have the courage to step out of my comfort zone and possibly fail. If I didn't try, then I couldn't fail.
Was there anyone that knew
No.
that that's something that you wanted?
Nope.
It was a secret harbor desire.
Secret harbor
Just
desire.
like my secret harbor desire to be a cheerleader. You know, the more I think about it, I start to realize how important it is to have a support system. And if you are, like, when you're feeling like you're stuck in that comfort zone and you don't know how to break free of it, when you have those secret harbor desires, you tend to just kind of stay put in that spot.
Yeah.
But once you start speaking about it, you start creating this reality. Once you start getting people in your corner and finding the people who are actually going to support you, it's interesting. You start creating this momentum. Last year, I know I've told you about this. Last year was an enormous turning point in my life. I had always been fairly, not necessarily, fairly unathletic, and had had severe back pain issues and other chronic illnesses for years, and used that as my excuse to just stay within my comfort zone. Oh, I can't. That whole "I can't" mantra. And then I lost my dad to a disease that could have turned out differently had he taken better care of himself, had he moved his body more often and eaten well and had activities that he enjoyed. 6 weeks after my dad passed, I was diagnosed with the same disease. And it was a smack upside the head. It's like, wow, you have been saying I can't, but honestly, you can. If you push yourself, you can. And now your choice is move or die. So right around that time, my husband, he'd been badgering me to go backpacking with him for a long time. And I'd said, I can't sleep on the ground. I can't carry the weight. I can't do this. I can't do that. I'd never last. And spurred by that kick in the pants, finally he talked me into it. So we went on our very first backpacking trip. We went out to REI and we bought all this gear. We got this teeny tiny little 38-liter pack for me because we decided that I'm never going to be able to carry more than 25 pounds. And then, because you got to take what you got to take, proceeded to pack 35 pounds into this tiny little pack. So I have this giant sleeping pad on the top that's like knocking me off kilter, and more weight than I thought I could ever carry. And we did a fairly simple trail, but it was a beach hike. So we had headlands that we had to go around. And hiking in sand is not easy at all. It's like dragging midgets from your ankles with a 35-pound pack on your back. And as we were going, I had to do so much mental work to be able to get through this hike. I thought several times, I can't do this. This is too hard. And as we were going, I started realizing my boots were too small and my toes were starting to swell up. So I ended up having to change into my Teva sandals, which hiking on uneven terrain with more weight than you can handle in Teva sandals with no stability, it was at that point in my life the most challenging thing I had ever done, which simultaneously made me feel kind of like liberated, but also self-conscious. It's like, what do you mean the most challenging thing you've ever done in your life is hike 5 miles? That's not that far. But once, I remember when we set out, I told my husband, well, what if this? What if that? What if you fall? What if you get hurt? We're going to be, like, tides are going to come in and we're basically going to be stranded in this area with nobody else around us. And he was like, what if we don't go? And that was really the question. What if we don't go? What if we don't do it? What if we don't try? And once we got to the final headland, the tide was starting to come in. We got a late start. We didn't know if we were going to make it all the way around. So we had to do some fancy footwork and some finagling, me with my lopsided heavy pack, to get there. And once we got there, I burst into tears. I was so proud of myself. And that first excursion outside of my comfort zone propelled me forward. and really gave me a taste of what it was like to push past my comfort zone and get to know what it was like to live.
And now you've been backpacking several times.
We just finished a 31-mile, 3-day through hike. We're getting ready to do one in the second week of August that's just shy of 50 miles across the Olympic mountain range. I ran my first 5K at the beginning of the year. And the disease that I was diagnosed with is just kind of an afterthought. I talk about it a lot because it was such a source of a kick in the pants for me. And I think that people need to hear about that. But it's not something I feel like holds me back on a daily basis anymore. And a lot of that was because I chose to step outside my comfort zone, take that risk. I surrounded myself with people who really knew how to support me, my husband. So that's the question I have for you and for anybody who's watching is, who do you have in your court? Is there someone or a group of people, your loved ones, your friends, who you feel like encourage you to chase your dreams no matter what, who you could divulge that like harbored inner desire to, and would be like, yeah, go get it, go do it. If you don't feel like you have that, all right, what are some avenues you can find to create that support in your life? What do you feel like you need? Do you need to hire someone that you can work with? Do you need to surround yourself with peers? Check out workshops, find social groups. I know for some people that in itself is extremely uncomfortable.
It's just taking that first step, really. Taking the first step. It's, and for me, Mike, my husband, is my big supporter. My mom is my #1 fan, which is the cutest thing ever. But I wouldn't have gotten into this industry of photography and stuff like that without him encouraging me, because I didn't think I had gremlins thinking nobody would pay me to take their pictures. I don't know anything about photography except what I learned in high school, and I was more comfortable just making scrapbooks. And so he saw something different and just encouraged me to try it and to do it and to learn. And he's really supportive of my ideas and things like that. And then I do have people that I like to bounce things off of, because I'm an idea factory, and if I don't have somebody to bounce stuff off of, I will be overwhelmed every day. So I need someone to hone that in with me and think about the things that are realistic and things that are things I can work towards.
Sounding board.
I do.
A constructive sounding board.
A constructive sounding board. I have to have one. Otherwise, I will dive into 10 projects at one time.
Awesome idea, Elaine. How are you going to make it a reality? What are the logistical factors behind this? Not, Elaine, there are so many things that you would have to figure out for that. It's all about the way that your sounding board rebounds with you.
Exactly. So that's been really instrumental, a really instrumental part of my life and my business is having that support system.
How has it changed your life, making that decision to pursue your dream?
It's been the best thing ever. Going from a job that I absolutely hated, that I would cry, I didn't want to be there. It sucked. It sucked the life right out of me. And I was really thankful that my husband said, okay, well, give it a try and see if you can make it work. And he supported me and, let me basically supported all of us with just his income while I figured this out on a full-time basis, because people don't realize that you don't get to keep all the money that you make. The government wants their fair share, and they want actually quite a lot of it.
Being in business for yourself is tricky.
It is.
But and it's not necessarily for everyone, but choosing to pursue your dreams, whether that's something that you make a living off of or not.
Or just even having a hobby of doing something that is that where your heart is.
Having something that allows you to express your true spirit, so that you feel like you have purpose, is huge. It's something that everyone needs. And the other thing that I wonder is, if you had not taken that leap, what would have happened to all of the women that you connect to every single day? Now, I know a lot of you guys have been following Elaine for a long time, and really a lot of her message, the message that she gets out there, really resonates with you. I know as it does with me. If she had not taken that step outside her comfort zone, how would that have affected your life?
I would be very sad. I would be very sad, because I've met some incredible women on my own journey. It's like my journey, being able to be a part of other people's journeys. I would lose out on so many of those amazing connections with people, and that would make me really sad, because then I wouldn't know you. I wouldn't know you had I not gotten into this business.
I don't know if you would be sad for that reason, because you wouldn't know. But you can start to imagine where you would still be. I know where I would still be if I had not taken my husband's advice and gotten out on that trail. I was at a point where I could hardly move. I couldn't sleep through the night. I was having a hard time keeping up with work. I wasn't living in my own body. And now, I mean, just shy of a year later, I went from 5 little miles that seemed like the hardest thing ever
50.
doing about 50, about to do 50, and 25 pounds lighter. I didn't think I was heavy, but as you know, I lived in my skin and moved my body and started to enjoy myself and have activities that I had fun at, my body functions better all around. I'm just healthier. So I think that the challenge that we have for you guys this week is, number one, what is that deep harbored desire, that juicy thing that's been bubbling down underneath that you've been afraid to express and vocalize? Your challenge is to vocalize it, either to one person in your life, or you can post it here and share it with us. And ask yourself, how can I begin to step outside my comfort zone? What if I do, and what if I don't?
Good message. I'm excited to hear what everybody has to say.
Awesome. Well, thanks, Elaine.
Thank you, darling.
Thanks for joining us.
See you next week.